Take It to the Limit. I'm pretty sure that's playing on repeat in hell right now because it's the most annoying, repetitive song ever. So,
dude, Mike is really sensitive. You got to be careful what you say.
Hey, this is Samuel Lee, and I'm the drummer of Red Rain, and I'm having some fun on the All Over Place podcast where the funsanity never ends.
Hello and welcome back to the All Over the Place podcast. I'm your host, Eric Porvoznik, and we got an awesome show. We're going to dive right into it. We've got a guest, we've got a threefer, we've got Jim Culver, and here he is right there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm awesome. I'm right before you got in, I was telling Jimmy and Mike, our guests, hint, they're coming. I had a good baseball day in the baseball fields. Now we get to talk to one of our favorite guests. It's been a year now, folks, since we last saw our guys. And in that time, they've been at South by Southwest. They've opened for Tommy Stinson and beyond. They've backed Tommy Stinson as part of his band. The man who produced their album, American Trash, which is now released with us. Please welcome back to the show, Jimmy, Mike, Adam, and Luke from the band Freedom Rockets. Let's get you all back here, guys. Hello.
Yeah, we're back. Hey, how's it going? Back.
Well, it's awesome having you back. And folks, you won't see it for another week or so, but they are also they are the inaugural members of our second time doing a station ID for us. So thank you guys for that. Thank you for American Trash. And what's it like to finally have the album out now?
It is crazy. Such a long time coming. We've been doing a radio show every Thursday, just playing some tunes on the radio, getting clips for Instagram, promo, all of that. And every time we always find ourselves in a conversation. It's like, how are we at this point? It's crazy. All the people involved, all the work put into it. And we finally got our record out. It's great.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah.
And it's an awesome album. It's 40 minutes, not too long, not too short. Perfect rock and roll record.
We talked about that last time. We said that.
Oh, yeah.
So nice, you hit play twice. That's how you do it with albums that are like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, it's not Van Halen Fair Warning 30 minutes long, but it's so nice you hit it twice. And the album has got, you've got your power pop all over the place. As I mentioned, the Blink 182 influence there, so many influences. But you also got, some the anthemic stuff with Take It to the Streets. And I was feeling a little bit of the Alarm on that one. I'm digging that. And let's see, then the Soaring, anthemic, Love the Revolution to close the album. So all these different things going on. Just you guys, dare say, subtle, you're all over the place on this album. So
Oh, yeah.
As you're sequencing it, as you're putting it together, what did you guys have in mind with all these different influences and sounds?
Well, that was one of our, I think I could speak for everyone. It's one of our favorite things about the record. We say this all the time. There's something for everyone. You know what I mean? And you got like ripping fast songs like Mosquito Crucifixion. And then you got some mellow stuff like Love the Revolution. You could even get in your feelings and cry a little bit to Die Another Day if that's really what you want to do, And I think that was one of the fun parts about writing it too. You know what I mean? Working with Frankie Vinci. It was great for me because, as a writer, I want to be able to write in plenty of different situations and scenarios and stuff. And I feel like throughout the process of the record, I learned how to, write within different genres and different emotions and all of that.
And a violin and cello on Take It to the Streets, among other places.
So beautiful. Yep. That was cool. That was I wasn't there for that recording session, but Mike was when that was being recorded.
Yeah.
Mike, what was it like watching the non-traditional instruments being on a rock and roll album?
It was cool. It was more than cool. It was nice to watch someone else take our music and like treat it in a way that we don't think of it, like a little bit almost like professionally. Well, yeah, professionally in a way. Yeah, I just pick up a guitar and I play it, and that's how I write it. But they had like the sheet music out. They were careful about how they went about doing things. They were all very particular. Having Tommy there was also really cool because he kind of orchestrated a little bit of the feel. He didn't want the feel to go away. He wanted it to be how we said it. It was pretty interesting.
Very cool. And Jimmy, you mentioned a little bit earlier about just going in and recording the putting the music out there on social media every week and with Factory Underground, which is so much fun watching you guys have fun with all these different conversations and bringing people in, interviewing them, just getting the promotional stuff out there. So, and what's the reaction been like so far from the audience?
I mean, it's been great. I mean, you know, we've been texting all of our homies and stuff and idols, and just people are digging it, getting on the show and stuff. And just recently, you know, we had one of Adam's buddies come on. We've been doing some of his guys for the past couple of weeks, and you know, it seems like every time there's just like more views and more views and more views, likes and stuff. And it seems like the kind of output of it is doing well. You know what I mean? We're getting a lot of income on the page, followers, and likewise. And honestly, I mean, that is like the reason we're doing it, because we're trying to grow the social media, but it's just a blast. I mean, it's a fun time, you know what I mean? And it's great, like, talking to, like, I'm not going to say too much, but, you know, DMing some people on Instagram, it's like, this is crazy. Like, I'm talking to this guy, and he's going to be on my radio show in 2 weeks, you know? It's fun. It's like growing a community.
Absolutely. And don't forget, folks, always like, share, and subscribe to Freedom Rockets and all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Indeed.
sir.
Shameless plug.
And there's nothing shameless about me. It just is. It flows. You got to grow. You got to grow your audience.
I'm with it. I'm with it.
Look, Luke and Adam, I want to talk to the rhythm section here for a little bit. Well, what's it been like with you guys? Just you've been finally being able to play these songs out live and just and lock in together.
Oh, it's a real experience. You know, Luke is easily, in my opinion, one of the best bass players for his age. One, he's just an animal on stage. So, you know, being to interact with Luke all the time, and like, you know, Luke, we've been playing together for maybe 3-4 years now. So it's really cool, like how like we both grown as musicians, and especially playing the record. It seems like every new rehearsal, every gig, there's just like something new that just comes out, and it's really magical.
Yeah, I can say the same about Adam. He's like a robot behind the kit. Like, I never get lost. I'm not gonna lie.
And I'm not gonna lie, Adam, watching you with all you're a beast yourself. Watching all that stuff on Instagram, that's some kicking stuff, man. I'm digging it.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
And Mike, we don't have Marty with us this go around, but he's our resident guitar expert on the show. I'm just a guy who occasionally plays a guitar, but you know, the solos and the feel on "Love the Revolution," obviously very slashy on that one. Were you playing a Les Paul on that one?
No. So I did play a Stratocaster throughout the whole record. No, I didn't play Les Paul there. It does sound a little beefy there.
It sounds like a Les Paul, so it's from a guy who just picked up an imitation Les Paul. I got my Les Paul Epiphone right now, so I can.
Yeah, it works. It gets the job done. A Paul is a Paul.
My brother is the actual Les Paul player. I'm the imitation guy. I know my imitation. So yes,
I gotta say, I used to be a big Les Paul guy, but I've been leaning more towards the semi-hollows lately. My ES has been getting a lot of play.
Nice. Yeah, and as soon as I bought that thing, the next day, an Epiphone SG went up for sale for like $50 cheaper. I'm like, I'll worry about looking like Angus and Tony Iommi later.
Yeah. SGs are cool. I don't have an SG. I would definitely play an SG though if I had one.
They just look, well, they sound cool too, but yeah. I'm not a musician. I'm just a guy who plays guitar.
It makes me think Sabbath more than AC/DC. I can't lie.
I mean, Tony Iommi, obviously. Yeah. And the guitar is bigger than Angus Young, so I mean, it's overshadow.
It's probably bigger than me too.
No offense to Angus, he's the shit, but you know, he's a small guy.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, well, so you're on Factory Underground. They're the ones releasing it, but it's also through Universal and Virgin, correct?
Yes,
correct.
Well, what's the support been like from them? Just for getting the album out there for you.
It's been great. Yeah, we have like meetings often with the guys on the label and stuff, you know what I mean? It's obviously like a big business oriented thing, but it's like growing into like a family, you know what I mean? We catch each other, just like cracking jokes at each other, picking on each other and stuff. It's fun, but also it's like we're getting stuff done at the same time. So it's cool. But yeah, I mean, they're right behind us. They're pushing it. They're totally with it. They love the record, you know. They're digging the radio show and the special guests. So, you know, that whenever they pump an idea, we're on it. You know, whenever they want something, we're on it because, you know, we understand that they're working their butts off for us, and we're incredibly driven to do whatever it takes. So
I'm loving it. And there's a reason I picked these albums behind me right here. And just very quickly, folks, you can make sure you check out American Trash on Spotify, and there's other audio platforms as well. And also be sure to check out, I've got it on the ticker there, just Make sure you check out the guys on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And the reason I put these Lucero albums up here, I was playing American Trash. Actually, I was playing Freedom Rockets Radio on Spotify. And two of the first few bands that popped up were the Vandaliers and also the Shackletons out of Minneapolis. Both bands I've seen open for Lucero. I got in a little trouble the last time I had a guest on suggesting maybe people they should open for, but I'm just saying Spotify is saying maybe you should look into opening for Lucero.
We might be next up, and we are looking for some tours and stuff. So,
and I'm not sure if you guys know, they opened for the Replacements along with the Hold Steady at the Minneapolis, the St. Paul show, the reunion show.
That's a killer lineup.
So once again, I'm trying to play the part of a promoter / concert guy, but there you go. There you have it.
Always looking out for us.
So I can go. I want to. It's a little selfish. I want to see my favorite bands all together on one bill. I save a little money. I rock out. It's a great night.
That's not too much to ask for.
I don't think so.
Yeah, not at all.
Culver, am I being selfish on that one? Maybe even a little.
Maybe a scotch, but it's all good.
It's out of love. It's out of love. The revolution. So,
well, we live in inflationary times, so anything you can do to save money works.
There you go.
That's what I'm saying.
And also, one thing I noticed on the album, the sequencing. We've got where did I want to make sure I get the album? Unthinkable, which Unrequited Love, and then you go into Better Without You Now. So I got a little bit of a should I date you, should I hate you? Is that a dyslexic heart moment there that you put together?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like a 2-part thing, I mean, just makes sense together like that. I think those two are kind of inseparable.
Well, I'll quote a movie that also has the Replacements on the soundtrack. Bitches, man. Somebody get that kid a condom. Stop me before I sub-reference. These movie things are for you, Culver. These are for you. So, and another thing I want the TikTok. Just the break on that is it may not be as hot as a urinary tract infection, but it is as catchy as one. I love it. I'm here. These Replacements things are here for all of our fans, as well as fans of Freedom Rockets. But it's catchy, and I find myself humming that all day long.
It's hilarious. I agree with you. I don't think I'll ever be able to perform that song without just cracking up on stage. I mean, just every time. I don't know if it's ever going to be unfunny to me, but I can't hold a straight face.
Every time we sing that part, I feel like I'm about to start dying laughing.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys just have so much fun on stage. And another reason why, come on out to the Southwest. We need you in Arizona.
Yeah, man, dude, we want to go everywhere. After going down south, I mean, we were just in a couple of states here and there, but I mean, we fell in love with the whole thing on the road, That's
well, tell us about South by Southwest. I mean, not just opening for Tommy, but just being there in that whole Austin vibe.
I mean, it was a blast. It was a blast. I really had no idea what to expect because I've obviously never gone to South by Southwest. But it was fun. It was difficult at times. You know what I mean? Everything's kind of very last minute, and you never really know what you're doing. But it's kind of part of the fun of it. And be calling each other from different places. Yo, get this suit from the house, grab this guitar. No, we're playing in 10 minutes. Oh no, we're actually playing in 5 hours. It's it's craziness. But I mean, we were playing 2 shows every day. But I mean, it was great. It was great. It was always people there.
It was worth it.
It was really worth it.
Like Jimmy said, it was more of an adventure than anything. It's just, there was the 5 of us going down in a van to Texas over the course of 3 days and then playing maybe 6 shows within maybe 2 days time. And then it's just okay, you're on at this time. Oh, wait, no, your set's back to move to 2 a.m. It's you go from a club to a rooftop at a bar at maybe 1 or 2
That's another thing, Adam's saying, it wasn't in New York and wherever we play normally, 9 p.m. sets. And we were playing 2 a.m. some nights on a rooftop. I mean, it was crazy. But there were still people there and people were still drinking and stuff. People were still showing up.
They were digging it.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like if you guys saw a drone in the crowd, you'd handle it a lot better than Green Day would. A little more flexibility.
We don't really care what goes on at our shows to a reasonable extent, as long as we're playing and having a good time.
You're having a good time. You're bringing the drone down on stage to have fun with you. The fun is infectious.
Exactly.
Like a
Just having fun
urinary
with it.
infection.
Metaphor never gets old.
No, it's the Letterman school. Take a joke and beat it to death. Just go with it. Yes. So, and with Addison Rae, is there going to be an official video with her now?
That's the hope. That'd be great. I already met her once, obviously, if you listen to the record. But
yeah,
it'd be great to cross paths again. That'd be hilarious too. That'd be quite a trip.
And you guys are going back to South by Southwest next year again,
That's the
right?
plan. I want to do that every year until I fucking die. I mean, it's a blast.
Yeah, it's been 20 years since I've been there, man. I did that whole Austin scene, just music everywhere. It's just. Mm-hmm. I want to say overwhelming,
that was my first time.
Too much music is never enough.
Yeah, I mean that was my first time going down south, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, even when we stopped along the way and we were in like Tennessee and like what was that we were in like some weird town between like Arkansas or something. I don't even know, like Texas.
Hotels along the way, but that's
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just loved it everywhere. It was just so interesting. I don't know.
It was really cool because you never know what you were gonna walk in through. I remember when when Tommy asked Jimmy, like, hey, can you get on stage in an hour at this one venue? And we go, and all of a sudden we go backstage, and all of a sudden there's just Alejandro Escovedo, and there's Chuck Prophet.
Oh wow!
And, yeah,
it was just so cool because
and John Doe of X
and John Doe. it was just so awesome because you never knew who you're gonna meet, and then later on that night we ended up seeing Alejandro play, I think, at another showcase, but it was really cool because you never know what was gonna happen. Then we ended up, I think, having dinner with Peter Jesperson before we went on stage for one show.
Yeah, right after the
nice.
That was crazy.
No, had you guys met Peter before, or was that the first time?
That was my first time.
First time.
I think I'd met him before, but we hung out a lot down in South by.
Oh, the stories that guy could tell, and I'm not just talking his book. That Peter is just such a super cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Tommy said it right, man. Anything could happen.
See, we're all weaving lyrics in here together, folks. We are musically savvy people. It's how we roll. All right, and so again, folks, check out American Trash on Spotify, other streaming platforms, and make sure you check out it's right there right now, the freedomrockets.com site. Find out when the guy's going to be out playing again. So for right now, just more shows up and down the East Coast, right?
Yep. As of now, we're getting our educations and stuff and learning the English language a little bit better before we hit the road again.
Yeah, that's no fun. Make it up as you go along. Well, we both like a guy who titled an album "Suicaine Gratifaction." English is secondary. All right, but now, folks, as I mentioned earlier, we are in a Threefer mode. So again, check out American Trash. It's a kick-ass album. Glad it's finally out, and just much success on that one. And hopefully, I'll get to see a performance sometime, whether it's here or in Texas. Yeah. But now we are going to be doing a Threefer, the albums that our parents influenced on us, our top 3 that made us who we are as music lovers. And then the plus one will be one that, just didn't cut it. They tried, didn't work. We move on. So our esteemed guests, I'm going to start down below me, and we're going to work it counterclockwise. So Luke, we're going to kick off with you.
Oh yeah. So, 2 bands that my parents influenced me on. One was or the first album that I got put onto that got me into music was Zeppelin 1. My mom showed me that, and I just fell in love with that since the beginning. I always just loved classic rock, 70s, 80s music.
So Zeppelin, very good call. Can't go wrong with the mighty Zepp. Hell no. And speaking of loud thundering drums, Adam, we're going to go over to you now for your first in the Threefer.
All right, so my parents never really listened to rock music, but the things that I got when I was a kid, I remember when I got my first Guitar Hero game as a kid. I remember the first song I played was "Bleed It Out" by Linkin Park, and then from then I listened to Minutes to Midnight, and I was just completely blown away with the sound and the record. Chester's voice. I just liked how Linkin Park just had this such unique sound to it, and especially now, speaking, they just formed a reunion with a new singer, and they're back. So it's really cool to see. them back, one, and then two, like one of the bands that I grew up with is like still going, especially after something like such as tragic as like losing a lead singer, like came to be, and like now they just rebounded. And the way they put it was, I forget his name. He raps in Linkin Park. I remember like when they were doing like a live video when they were announcing their new singer, they worded it. Yeah, they worded it in a sense saying that she's not replacing Chester, just taking just like carrying on Chester's legacy, which was, I think, really cool.
The lady who's replacing, or again, just doing that tribute to her, she actually sang on a song from another guest of ours, Mark Daly, on his latest album, Devil's Arms. King of the callback here, folks. But no, she's an amazing singer. And to me, when I first heard her, I thought she was Lizzie Hale. And of course, Lizzie Hale filled in for Linkin Park earlier this year. So yeah, just keeping that Linkin Park sound alive. Yes, good call. All right, so Mike, over to you.
Cool. I'd say growing up, my dad was definitely a big figure on my music, and I think one of the first bands that I really started to really enjoy, or I don't know, just kind of just listen to more often was Stone Temple Pilots, specifically the Purple album. I think it was Interstate Love Song that was the hit that I just remember, like, you know, driving home from Long Island in the summers and putting on that song and just having a good time. And yeah.
So are you seeing them on the tour right now where they're doing the 30th anniversary of Purple, playing it front to back?
I'd like to. I don't know. I might. I just saw a bunch of shows. I just saw like Foo Fighters and Green Day at Pearl Jam just recently. I feel like I'm all concerted out, but I'll find a way to stick them in there if I can.
There is no such thing as being concerted out. Bite your tongue.
Blink-182. Who else did I see this summer? I'm seeing them all. You only live once. Like,
well, and you get Live and Soul Asylum are also on that bill.
Stop. Yeah.
But it was cool. And there's another guy, actually, Chester Bennington, didn't do an album with STP, but Jeff Goff, I think, is his name. And he even says, I'm not Scott Weiland. I'm not Chester Bennington. I'm here to bring those guys memory and just keep their songs alive. So yeah, love Purple. Love STP. Nice.
I got to see STP in concert when Scott was still lead singer. Man, that guy, just the energy that guy brought on stage was unbelievable. Like, he just incredible. You could feel it from like nosebleed seats where we were at. It was incredible stuff. So yeah, definitely missed, but still a great band even without him. But yeah, the guy was an incredible lead singer. Had so much charisma and energy on stage.
Love it. All right, Jimmy, up to you.
All right. This is like probably the most obvious thing ever, but I'm going with the Replacements for my first pick. First, the memory that comes to mind, I remember when I was young. I mean, it was the around the time of or actually it was like day of the Back by Unpopular Demand tour, I believe, the reunion, like 8 years ago now. And I was with my dad, and we were driving around, and he was telling me, he was like, yeah, I'm going to this concert tonight. 'Cause, I just got into music and everything. And I was like, who? To go to the Replacements. And I don't think at that point I was familiar with them. So, we always listen to music in the car, you know what I mean? From when I was a little shit, going to hockey practice, listening to the Sirius XM or whatever to today. We always listen to music in the car. And so he started playing some of the Mats. I remember the first song he played was Bastards of Young. And when I first got into music, I was really into the punk stuff. I still am, but that's like what got me into it. I was in, the Misfits and all that kind of stuff. And he put on Bastards of Young. I just remember hearing Westerbergs ripping Scream at the beginning. And I was like, oh my God. And that guitar riff that sounds like it's like totally out of tune and like the amp's like broken into pieces. I mean, it's just a ripping song, ripping record. I just fell in love right away. I was like, that is sick.
So were you at the Polo Grounds show then?
I didn't go. I was well young, but
Okay.
my dad went to a few, I want to say.
Yeah, because he would have been able to see the Polo Grounds, and then when they came back around, yeah, probably the.
I mean, it was like 2015, wasn't it?
2015 or 16. Well, yeah, 2014 or 15. Yeah,
I would have been like 9 or 10. I mean, Mike would have been old enough because he's super old, but I was.
Old man.
I'm ready for Mike to do one of these right there. Yeah. Gentlemen, don't forget, he can buy you beer and alcohol. Let's see. There's a reason. Mike, you're the Bob Stinson of the group. See?
Yeah, pretty much.
Mick
Well, just
Mars,
be careful with the rest of that analogy.
yeah,
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Man, but
I don't
God
think
will
I'm
never-
good enough to play a solo in a trash can or something like that, or
Or
in
the
a
dress.
jumpsuit. That's hard stuff.
while wearing a muumuu or nothing at all.
I have to look at the fretboard. He didn't really have to look at it.
All right, Mr. Culver, over to you.
This one's going to be a total generational check for all of us. But anyway, so yeah, I grew up in, shall we say, a divided household. Had a classic rock mom and a country dad. So I got a lot of different influences. But mom's birthday's coming up, so I thought I'd go with her side of everything. And so yeah, so one of the bands she turned me on to was Supertramp. Kind of a quintessential 70s funky band, really cool stuff. I got a kick out of everything they did. Everybody remembers Goodbye Stranger, of course, but I always really liked Take the Long Way Home. Just kind of a I don't know, just always had a nice vibe about it. A lot of times I'd hear it on the radio on the way home from school, and just kind of a nice way to finish out the day listening to that. Just kind of puts you in the right frame of mind getting home. So I always like that one.
Supertramp, yeah, God, just take it. Breakfast in America, awesome album.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I was also in a divided household, but there was enough unity around the Beatles. I mean that influence I think just goes across any music household you get into. But for me, Dad had a lot of Doors albums laying around, and that Jim Morrison, good poet, bad poet, I think yes could be said for both answers on that one. But just it was a little bit darker, a little more sinister. I was young, as I mentioned on the show earlier this year. Edgar Allan Poe, big fan of that, and just the macabre stuff. And you got that with the Doors, and where else can you have that awesome keyboard coming from Ray Manzarek? So definitely the influence there from the Doors, and thank you, Dad, on that one. All right, now Luke, we're gonna kick it back down to you in the counterclockwise.
All right. Well, going back to the Kiss, the Hotter Than Hell album, it's a very funny story. So when I was about like 5 or 6, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the TV show The Wiggles, but it's like a kid show, and I loved it. And my mom and my brother and my dad, they were all trying to put me on to Kiss. So they told me, they were like, the Wiggles are just Kiss, but in makeup. Like during the daytime, they're themselves, and at night they're Kiss, and they start performing. And so I believed it. And ever since then, I just loved the Kiss. I mean, and they told me like 2 months later, and I just didn't care. I was like, whatever. I was like, they're still my favorite band. So yeah.
You're such an idiot.
I was like 5.
The Wiggles.
We believe a lot of things when we're 5. I got your back on this one, Luke. I got you on that.
They had makeup on. They looked cool. They got me. I got fooled.
This crosses the generations, because when I was what, about 6 when that album 6 or 7 when that album came out, everyone in our elementary school, they were making the little Kiss hand puppets, and whether it was Starman or whatever, and it had the unique things. I was not allowed to make those because my mom caught wind that it was Knights in Satan's service, so no Kiss allowed in the Provoznik household. So no Wiggles either, but that came later in life. That was my brother's Kiss stuff. So yeah, but I am familiar with the Wiggles. All right, Adam, over to you.
Oh man, so this next one for sure is definitely Guns N' Roses. My parents got me a Guns N' Roses t-shirt for Christmas one year, and I didn't really know them at the time. I was maybe 11. I just picked up drumsticks at the time, and so I started listening to Appetite, and my mind was just blown when I heard Steven Adler just hit the cowbell and the hi-hat for the start of Night Train. 1, 2, he just, no one else hits like him. It's just so ripping. The way I can't even explain it, but I think Taylor Hawkins, the best in an interview, said it's just I remember when he met Steven Adler for the first time. He's just like, dude, the amount of trash cans I kicked over this record when I was a kid was insane. It's just there's no other way to describe it. It's just so powerful, and the way he plays, and also they're now Guns N' Roses drummer Frank Farrer, the way he plays too. It's very inspirational, and I do see a lot of my influence, and I definitely see their influence in my playing. for sure.
Yeah, shout out Frank Farrer while we're at it. He's a cool
Especially
guy.
the way I hit Attitude too. You know, I hit it. I hit that one pretty hard. I think the hardest on the set.
Nice deep cut there from Spaghetti Incident. A little attitude. I like it.
Oh yeah.
And where do you rank? We can't forget Matt Sorum because he did have, he has some history there. So where do you put him in? And any love going to Matt Sorum? Or just going to go with the first and the latest guys?
Honestly, you gotta add in Josh Freese into the mix. He was the drummer.
That's right. He was there briefly too. That's right for Chinese Democracy, right?
Josh is also an animal. Shout out Josh Freese too. He was actually the drummer for the Replacements reunion tour with Tommy back for a while back, and he shared the stage with Tommy for many years in Guns N' Roses. So shout out Josh Freese. But
I saw Josh. He was the drummer for Westerberg when I saw him on the '99 tour, I think.
I was gonna say because he worked with Westerberg before the Mats. Right?
Let's just say Josh Freese is everywhere. He
honestly he is. Yeah,
man.
He kind of is just everywhere. I feel like he just worked with everyone. I don't know.
All phenomenal drummers, but I'm gonna definitely have to play Steven Adler at the top, man. Just the way he hits, and when I think of like hard hitting rock drummers, it's Bonham, it's Grohl, and then it's him for sure. I definitely put Steven Adler up there.
And I was very fortunate enough to be in a band. We were way low on the bill, but we opened for Adler's Appetite one night, and that guy, seeing him live is just so cool. I wish actually I did get to see them on the what was it, the first reunion tour, the 2016 one. What do they call that? The whatever the tour they called it. It was I keep thinking of the Eagles. Hell Freezes Over, but Not in This Lifetime. That tour, I saw that one, and Adler came out and played 2 songs with them at Dodger Stadium.
I never heard about that.
Yeah, so for one night I got to see 4/5 of the original lineup. Yeah, Adler, total kick-ass drummer, no doubt. Mike, over to you for your number 2.
Cool. My number 2 would definitely have to be the Heroin Diaries, 6 a.m. That album growing up, I think it came out in like 2008, but I didn't really hear it until my dad started playing it on his CD, like in the car. He played a CD in the car. It was cool to have. So going through the track, I think it was like Tomorrow or Life is Beautiful. Some of those songs on the album, they were like, just imagine a pissed off little teenager going to soccer that he didn't want to play or something, and just trying to get pumped up. And it was pretty fun. And just listening to those songs, that's when I really started like playing guitar heavily, because I was a drummer growing up. So when I made the switch to guitar at like 13, 14, they kind of paved the way towards the whole hard rock, punk rock kind of mix vibe. And I still refer back to some of like the DJ Ashba solos for some of the the tones that he would get out of it. Yeah.
Well, 6 a.m. and a drummer turned guitarist. You're our own little Eddie Van Halen now too.
Yeah, close. I wasn't that good. I was good at drums, not like not like them.
All right, Jimmy, up to you.
I got a funny one. Until I explain it, I think this is going to come off a bit strange for my taste, but Steve Miller Band, that one greatest hits record they have, like the blue album cover. For some reason, I was really, really, really into those guys. Like when I first got into music, going back to, I was just talking about my dad going to hockey practice and stuff. We used to listen to that stuff all the time. I think how it sprouted was we would just listen to I-95 or whatever. And just one of the tunes came on. I was like, whoa, these sounds are so cool. Because he always had like those wacky kind of synth patches and just like random sounds during their songs. Like if you think of like Jungle Love or whatever. And somehow, God knows how, that got me into punk music, because that's what came after that phase. But I think that like kind of Steve Miller love has kind of stuck with me, because to this day, everyone says, we got pop punk kind of roots, indie roots, all that kind of stuff. But we still like to incorporate kind of just like cool sounds and stuff and modern stuff, like the synths and stuff. And like you were saying on the record earlier, we got like strings. And I think that kind of just always had like a place in my heart to just remember, you don't have to kind of stay into one genre. There's no such thing really as genres. As long as something sounds good, you can find a way to mix it in.
That is an amazing collection of songs. I mean, so many bangers on that one. And yeah, I played that. I remember I played that first time I played that for my wife. She didn't know Steve Miller Band was, but I put that on for her, and every song that came on, she's like, they play this too? They play this? Like, she knew all the songs, but she just didn't know the band, because the band kind of goes under the radar, for certain
That
generations.
was
But
also, I felt like
you know the music though.
the Steve Miller Band. That was my first ever concert I attended
Nice.
out of like millions that I've been to at this point. It's the first one I went to.
The only
Right on.
downside, well, some people say it's probably an upside, but it doesn't have abracadabra. But you can always just add that onto the playlist. I'm a sucker for abracadabra. I'm a pop.
I don't know. That was never my favorite, to be honest. I can't lie. I think
It was
cool tune, but-
82. It was on MTV. It had a cool video.
Yeah. The video is like all wacky and stuff.
Not representative of the rest of the Steve Miller Band sound, but yeah.
I was kind of trying to get at that. Yeah.
It's an oddball, definitely.
It is.
It was the 80s. Synthesizers started to be everywhere, just as ZZ Top and Van Halen.
It's still rich, though. It's still.
Oh, yeah. All right, Mr. Culver, up to you, and I won't hit remove this time.
All right. So I'm gonna go for my next one with Rolling Stones. Just listening to those classic tracks on the radio got me into Rolling Stones, and just one of my all-time favorite bands now. Just so many amazing tunes. But so if I have to pick an album, I'm tempted to chicken out and say one of their greatest hits, but I'm gonna go with Let It Bleed. Amazing album. It's got some of their best stuff. Gimme Shelter, Midnight Rambler, and of course, You Can't Always Get What You Want, which is considered the ultimate nostalgia trip for my folks' generation. So fantastic album. Great band, love them. Never get tired of their stuff, and great band. So that's my number 2.
I can definitely get behind that. I love the Stones, and talking about my dad once again, he's seen them like a million times, so I listened to them a lot growing up.
Right on. Never got to see them in concert, but I'd give anything to, man. They're amazing.
I did.
Right on.
I got you on that.
I'm going to get you, Jimmy. I actually saw the original lineup when the last time you saw Bill Wyman go out in 1989. At Pittsburgh, the old Three River Stadium, and Living Color was the opening act for that one too. That was a badass night. Cool. Yeah. As I date myself with 1989 on that one. Yeah. Jim, you mentioned earlier that you came from a rock and roll and a country household. Country wasn't a thing in our household, except for when we were at my grandma's house on a Sunday night. It would be Hee Haw bleeding into Lawrence Welk Show, or maybe it was the other way around. It was grandma that was on. But Hee Haw, my dad, when Roy Clark would come on, he would make sure that I said, that man right there is one of, if not the greatest guitarist. I'm like, you're showing me I'm listening to all these other things growing up. And he's like, no, that guy. And then Glenn Campbell happened to be on a show as well. And those two guys were cutting heads back and forth. And I'm like, I just learned right then and there. So my country influence is pretty much from my parents relegated to that. But just through that, then Johnny Cash I would listen to, and of course Hank Williams Sr. My grandfather would sing those songs, but and then the outlaw country stuff. But but just to get Roy Clark and Glenn Campbell, badass guitar players, which you don't even think of when you think of the Eddie Van Halens, the Tony Iommis, the Chuck Berrys, the Jimi Hendrix. But Roy Clark and Glenn Campbell deserve much love, and that was a big influence I got from my dad. So definitely on that one. Thank you, Dad.
Hell yeah.
All right, Luke, we go to you again because you've had time now. As we've all rambled on, you get to come up with your number 3.
My number 3 parental influence would be the Core album, Stone Temple Pilots. My dad showed me that one when I think I was like 10 years old. I just fell in love with them. I love Scott Weiland's voice. He got me into singing, and especially more of their slower songs on the album. I like more like Creep, and I mean I love Plush too, but yeah, I just love that whole album. That definitely got me into grunge music, which is where I take most of my influence from.
We got 2 STPs here. I love it. Your parents are awesome, both you guys. You can't go wrong with STP. All right, Adam, and actually, Luke, I just realized that you've got the original Van Halen hanging up in your room.
Oh yeah,
more awesome influence. Thank you, Mom and Dad, or whoever got you into the VH. See that was see. I got my dad into Van Halen, but I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, I got myself into Van Halen. I wasn't really my parents. It was more me, but
And
still
actually, one of the things I did on the baseball field today, we were talking, it's hotter than hell here in Arizona, obviously. And me and the first baseman, we were talking, I just said, yeah, I can't wait to go get a drink in my hand and toes in the sand, and all I need is a beautiful woman. I said, that's a little Van Halen for you. Well, I've heard of them. I said, fair warning. That is your homework, young man. It's dark. It's sinister. That will be your Van Halen homework. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
all right.
What is your favorite Van Halen album, Luke?
Honestly, probably that one. I ordered it a couple months ago. I was like, this is definitely my favorite one. I love Little Dreamer though. It's definitely one of their more underrated ones that no one really gives much appreciation to.
Oh, it's perfect front to back. No, it's like deep cut to end the hits. Oh yeah, I'm the one you love. Who else scats on a hard rock album? Van Halen. All right, Adam, over to you. As we learned when we had another guest on the show, we get into Van Halen. I could go on forever, and I'm not going to. To you, Adam.
All right, so this one was more like a mixed influence. So this one definitely has to do with my parents and then my cousin Heath. When I was maybe like 12 or 13, when I was driving around with my mom, this was like during the summertime, Santa Monica by Everclear used to play on the radio for basically the whole summer. And like the song just kind of got stuck in my head. And like over time, like I never really got into them too much. And then I think I was at Thanksgiving last year. My cousin Heath, he's out in Nashville. He is a talent agent. He's a booking agent for a company called Reliant Talent. He basically showed me, he's just like, dude, have you heard the new Everclear live album? The one from the Whiskey that they just did. It was basically celebrating like 20 years of Everclear. They were playing like some of their like major hits, and he basically sent me the link to the video, and like I was just blown away. You know, their energy was out of this world, and it was really cool to like just hear like majority of these songs. They just had the whole room moving. And then maybe about like 2-3 months after that, we got the opportunity. A couple months after that, actually, we got the opportunity to open for Everclear. I think this was our first festival. This was like our first like major scale gig we ever did. And I remember when they played Santa Monica, it was just like such a full circle moment, like hearing this thing in the back of like my mom's car, and then like seeing it live from like backstage. And they really put on a show. Their bass player is absolutely insane. I think his name is Freddie. And like he was just throwing his bass around like it was nothing. They all just have this insane chemistry on stage. And then like just everything about them and their performance was like out of this world. And it was really cool, like full circle moment.
Nice. I love that. And I got to see them last year with the Ataris opening for them at this really little out of the way place in California called Pappy and Harriet's, little saloon type place. And Everclear. Oh God, the energy that night was so cool. Definitely. And so when I saw you guys were opening for them, I'm like, yep, they're going to have fun. I'm glad you did. That's cool. All right, Mike, over to you.
Awesome. So my last pick would definitely have to be the Eagles, Hotel California. That one sticks. You know, parents got me into that one. I think it was, I don't know, driving to like Long Island, going to like summer houses and good times. Always kind of reminds me of that record. What is it? Life in the Fast Lane. My grandfather loves that song so much. All the guitar work on that album, like the harmonies and stuff like that they do. Just the blues, the twanginess to it, all that kind of what do you call it? Helped me as a guitar player when learning and trying to get a little better, getting some more influences. They are definitely one of them, for sure.
Like that, Joe Walsh brought a nice a more rock edge to that band. So yeah, definitely like that. Hey, Jimmy, to you.
Next one, I'm taking it to my mom's side now. Elvis Presley. This one really just no record in particular, because I mean he's got like 4 million records. But my mom's parents, my daddy and granddad over in the UK, are really into Elvis. They always have been. They got like pictures of him around the house and stuff. So I was kind of forced to listen to him growing up, and I love Elvis. I always have, and I think that's probably where my kind of like stage performance, all my stuff on stage kind of rooted from, because I mean he was one of the first to kind of really go crazy on stage and have like a separate persona and just kind of let loose. And I think I pull a lot of that from him originally.
All right, well, let's see your sneer. Let's see your Elvis sneer.
maybe the third interview. How about that?
Putting you on the spot there. Okay, well, wait, noted. I'm going to hold you to that. So, and any Replacements fan would say GI Blues would be their favorite Elvis album.
Yes. Yeah, well, if you've listened to Pleased to Meet Me, that would be correct.
Yeah, it's just the cover.
Yeah.
Stop us before we sub-reference again, folks. And Culver, over to you.
All right, so my third pick is The Who, one of my all-time favorites. Yeah, absolutely can't go wrong with them. Was first introduced to The Who as a kid watching the cinematic acid trip that is Tommy. If you ever watch that, you do not need to partake of any herbal enhancements. The movie will take care of that for you. I watched it when I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 with my teenage sister going, what the hell am I watching? But then started hearing them on the radio when I got a little bit older, and just absolutely fell in love with them. They're amazing. I just have for some reason I have a core memory stuck in my head of my mom singing along with "Who Are You" on the radio, quite often. And this was before that song was part of the intro to CSI and was bludgeoned to death by that show by overexposure. And but yeah, absolutely love that band. Never get sick of them. If I was to pick an album, I'd have to go with My Generation, the very best of. It's a fantastic collection, and great stuff. So
I'm so glad we had Steve Luongo on the show, though. I didn't realize the Who their influences there for. That's cool. Very nice. Yep. All right. Well, I mentioned a little earlier that I was able to influence my father with one, so I owed him as far as I'm concerned, because we were lucky. Words you don't hear often when we were lucky living in Ohio at the time outside Cleveland, but WMMS, the radio station there, in the mid 70s, shortly after we got moved to Ohio and we had MMS on our radars, they played AC/DC from the Australian imports, and my dad listened to WMMS, so I was hearing all that stuff early on. So my dad gave me AC/DC. I gave him Van Halen from that. So and Metallica. Dad made it loud for me. I made it loud for him in return. But AC/DC it's just stuck with me. That's rock and roll. It's just 3 chords and the truth for 21 albums now. They've same damn 3 chords, but nobody does it better than AC/DC. Just Bon Scott, dark and sinister with the lyrics. He just the master of the single entendre, but who cares? It's Bon Scott, it's AC/DC, and thank you, Dad, numero uno for me. And I guess if I had to pick an album, be Powerage, which not a lot of hits on that album, but Sin City, Riff Raff. It's a dark album. I like that one. And if I had to pick, can't go wrong with Back in Black, and also can't go wrong with their new one, Power Up. So tribute to their fallen brother, Malcolm Young. But AC/DC, my number one. So there's the ones we liked, folks. Our parents hit it on the head with all 3 of those. But now we must do our plus one, which is the counter. And this is the one that just didn't work. So, Luke, we're going to keep the order the same. We're going to go to you on this one.
All right. So this one, my dad showed me this band. It's Pantera, more specifically their Cowboys from Hell record. He's a huge metalhead, and I just never really got into it. I love playing Dimebag's music. I play guitar too. I love using his techniques and stuff, but I was never really able to get into listening to their music. They're just too heavy for me.
I didn't get into that. I didn't really know much about them till later. And we saw them open for Metallica last year, and Phil Anselmo came out there. My girlfriend's just like, he's got no shirt on, shorts, no shoes. She said, he looks like a drunken uncle who just got woken up from a nap, and he's coming down to say someone took food out of the refrigerator. I'm like, you got all that from one guy just walking across the stage? You are awesome. Shout out to Christine. Yes. So, yeah, I can see that. A little too heavy, but Dimebag, that tone that he has, definitely very cool.
Amazing. All the respect to him. Rest in peace.
All right, Adam, to you.
All right, so my dad, one of his favorite bands is Creed, but for some reason this band just never stuck. I remember we were cleaning out the downstairs one day, and we just have a ton of CDs, and I stumbled upon a Creed CD, And I go, wait, Dad, is this your CD? He's just like, yeah, I listened to Creed a lot when I was like a teenager. You should check this record out. So I listened to it, and it just never really stuck with me. Like, it's a great band, and it definitely holds a lot of memories with my dad. I know like he's a big fan of like Creed and Def Leppard and Bon Jovi, which I do like those bands, but Creed just was one that never stuck with me.
Well, you can go ahead and trash Bon Jovi all you want on this show. I do enough, but Def Leppard, can't go wrong with the left. But Creed, all right, there you have it, folks. That's from Adam, his +1. And now, Mike, over to you. What didn't work for you, thanks to Mom and/or Dad?
I think it had to be off of one of Queen's songs. I'm drawing a blank right now, but I just remember like he would always play it. Like anytime it would play, we would play it we'd have to listen to the whole song. It's Jimmy, help me out here. What's the favorite song of theirs?
Bohemian Rhapsody?
Yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm sorry, mental break. Yeah, anytime we would play that song in the car on the radio, and it would go on, like, no, I don't want to listen to the whole. Oh, here comes the 6-minute whole. I mean, and you warm up to it by the end of it, but like I just didn't dig it as a kid.
Well, Culver, I think Mike's a little too young to do the headbanging from Wayne's World. It happens.
Yeah. Michael Myers.
At least you have fun with that one. All right, Jimmy, up to you.
All right. Before I make this statement, I need to say something real quick. I am not one to music shame at all. I think, music is obviously art, and if everyone likes it, then it isn't really art, because it's got to be a little bit controversial for people, has to hit certain people the right way. But I'm sorry, Mom, but it's Madonna for me. My mom listens to a lot of Madonna. I don't think she ever actually tried to put me onto it, but she plays it a lot. I can't stand it. I go upstairs and I play like Shell or 2K. I can't. I mean, she does got this one song with Playboy Cardi in The Weeknd, and I can low-key get behind that. But besides that, I can't do it.
To be fair, Madonna from the 80s and Madonna everything after, two very different things.
Yeah.
So, I think
about her, but I'll take your
one of those artists that had an era, and everybody should just stop listening at some point. But that's my humble opinion.
And Madonna, when you're 14, is a little different from Madonna when she's, like Jim said, anything after 25. So yeah, it's like a virgin.
Good point.
All right, Jim Culver, over to you. What didn't work?
My pick is the Eagles, and in deference to Mike, who had this on his top 3, I'm not going to go so far as to say I agree with the dude from The Big Lebowski on the Eagles, but I will say that their album One of These Nights, oh man, because it just a bunch of songs that don't hit for me.
Damn.
Jesus.
Like after the Thrill,
this is your gone, Madonna, okay? This is your Madonna.
It is. So after the Thrill is gone, or Take It to the Limit, I'm pretty sure that's playing on repeat in hell right now because it's the most annoying repetitive song ever. So,
dude, Mike is really sensitive. You got to be careful what you say.
Might crash.
He might crash out.
Not knocking their other albums, but that one, oh man, just definitely not hitting it for me. So.
Joe Walsh made them they were no longer the California casual band. They became a rock band more than that. But yeah, Eagles, I think they're a polarizing band. Definitely. Well, what wasn't polarizing in my house, and mom did her best. I'm sorry. The Beatles was mom and dad. So I'll throw one nicely there to my mom in that regard. But mom did her damnedest to get me into musicals. And by way of that, Barbra Streisand. And I know that's like low-hanging fruit, but Barbara Provoznik, it did not work. Barbra Streisand. And that just stuff, and yes, I eventually went into theater, but that was it. That was as far as it got with Barbra Streisand. Just overwrought vocals. Does she have a great voice? I guess. I don't know. I've never listened to more than 15, 20 seconds of it, but my mother did her damnedest on that one, but no Barbra Streisand for me.
I could live with that.
Dude, we brought Mike back. We brought him back. Well, hey, folks, there's our Threefer and the +1. And I once again want to thank, the guys from Freedom Rockets, Jimmy, Mike, Adam, and Luke for coming back and joining us. And make sure you check out freedomrockets.com. Get American Trash. You got it on Spotify and all over the place, other platforms. And guys, thank you so much. And can't wait to see you on tour whenever you wind your way down to the South/Southwest.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having us today.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
It's coming, guys.
It's always a good time on
Absolutely
here.
our pleasure. Thanks so much for listening. Don't forget to share, subscribe, like, and do that over at Freedom Rockets at all their social medias as well, and YouTube. And we'll be back real soon here on All Over the Place. Take care.
All Over the Place, where the fun sanity never ends.